This week on Most Craved.
Shatner in Star Trek.
And why do movie theaters hate movies?
Hey, I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net.
I'm Jenna Busch with Legion of Leia.
And I'm Whitney Seibold from CraveOnline.
One of the big stories this week is Netflix has announced an innovative new way of distributing films. The new Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel, The Green Legend, is going to premiere on Netflix and in IMAX theaters. The bad news is this has sort of angered some movie theaters. Regal, Cinemark, AMC, and Carmike theaters have all said they're not going to show it.
Well, that makes sense, because why are we going to be giving all of this credence to what is essentially a straight-to-video sequel with none of the original actors?
It's not true that it's none of the original actors. It's Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh.
It's a different
But
story from the
Yeah.
original books. It's not taking these people and
But
recasting.
see,
It's a straight-to-video sequel. Functionally, it's a straight-to-video sequel.
see,
It's not a bigger movie. It's not as hyped a movie. It's not really...
movies, quality aside, which we can only really tell when we see it, the plan is kind of interesting because it's sort of taking the two extremes.
Yeah, and I think the thing with theaters now is that they're sort of polishing plates on the Titanic if they're going to sort of fight against this. It's not like this isn't going to keep happening. This isn't the first time that things have been direct-to-video, and direct-to-video isn't really like the crappy movie thing anymore. I mean, now people want to see things. Like Netflix is, you have all your TV shows. They're putting out the whole season all at once. So the structure's really changing, and I kind of think you got to play along.
Well, it's also a question of, like, does anybody want to watch this on Netflix? It's presumably a sweeping action epic that maybe is better suited for IMAX screens.
Yeah, and I think that's the sort of thing. I mean, if you're going to have, if you have the ability to watch something at home and in the theater, then the theater experience has to be different, and it has to be better. And look, I'd rather see a movie like this on IMAX. So obviously, I'll go watch it on IMAX, but some people don't have access to IMAX because there are, 418 IMAX theaters? So that's not a lot if you think about the number of people in the country. So I don't think anyone's going to have, the people who are going to see it in IMAX are still going to see it in IMAX. People who are going to watch it on Netflix are going to be psyched.
If you're going to show it in IMAX, though, it should have been shot on sort of an IMAX format to begin with. If this was shot on cheap digital cameras, it's probably going to look better on a TV screen.
No,
if they shot it on, 70mm film, then it's probably going to look really nice on a gigantic screen.
I don't think so. Like, I have a pretty big TV because that's the one thing I spend money on. I mean, I love a lot of films on it, but I'd still rather see just about anything in IMAX.
Anything worth seeing on a TV is worth seeing in a theater. That's the way I see it.
It's interesting, though, that you sort of presume that because it's on Netflix, it's going to be of a lower quality. Like, this was a film that was in development long before Netflix came along.
Well, then why are they making this deal? Why is it only going to be released straight to Netflix?
Well, because it's an innovative new way of putting movies out there.
Well, they've done this before, where they've released things on DVD, on video on demand, and in theaters on the same day. They started doing that a couple of years ago. I think Steven Soderbergh's film Bubble was the first to do that. And so this is just a new version of that.
Exactly, but you're sort of assuming that because they're doing this, the movie must be of lower, smaller quality.
That's what they've been
and
doing
I think
with
what
these
their
movies.
hope is
these
to
sort
prove
of smaller budget films to get to a wider audience more immediately is to release them on several platforms at once.
Yeah, but see, I agree with Silas, so that I think that that's the whole point, is that the paradigm is shifting, and that people know, at least like studios know, that you want to get your entertainment at home as well as on the big screen, and I think they're just trying it out. I don't think this necessarily means that it's a bad movie, and I love the first one so much, I don't honestly care. I just want to watch it.
It is interesting, though, that there is that stigma involved
Yeah.
with something being on streaming.
And, well, I've run aground on a lot of really crappy straight-to-Netflix movies, the same way I ran aground on a lot of straight-to-VHS movies back in the day. It doesn't give me a whole lot of hope. That's all I can say.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. It does mean, though, that those 4 theater chains alone make up more than half of IMAX theaters. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's a theater that comes out in full support of this film.
Do it.
The other big news of the week is William Shatner just confirmed that he has been approached about cameo, maybe even a full role in the next Star Trek film.
I am absolutely 100% on board with this. He actually did this at the Nashville Comic-Con, and I actually got to spend a little time with him at Nashville Comic-Con, and he was a blast, and I would love to see him in it. I love how they got Spock in the first one, so I'm totally, like, if you can...
Not how they got Spock in the second one.
All right, well, yeah. I have many issues with the second one.
Yeah, a whole lot went well with the second one. But if they're trying to sort of establish this new universe, though, shouldn't they be distancing themselves from the original?
I don't know. I think you're sort of paying homage to it. And I mean, if you can find a good way to write him in, do it.
I gotta say too that the thing I have, and Star Trek is one of my favorite things in the universe. Star Trek was always about continuity, and we're starting discovering now that continuity sells. People like the Fast and the Furious movies all taking place in the same universe. They like the Marvel universe. They like these big universes, and Star Trek's now done this thing where it's thrown that all away.
And Star Trek pretty much invented the whole notion of like sci-fi canon, where everything existed in the same universe. I think Star Trek was the first to do that. And it makes sense that they try to sort of tie the universes in together, but at the same time, it's kind of like a step backward.
I'd love to see them just basically do the same thing as X-Men Days of Future Past. It's going to be the 50th anniversary of Star Trek next year. Call it something like Star Trek to the Edge of Forever. Like,
Oh my God, that's it. Use that. Totally use that.
and it would be great to see as many people from not just the original series, throw in any Star Trek actor that wants to appear, make the biggest, coolest Star Trek movie
What's
ever.
Jennifer Leon from Star Trek Voyager doing these days? Nobody knows.
No, but I totally like. I want to see everyone. I'm a huge Star Trek fan too. I mean, well, we've talked about this a number of times, and I want to see all of it. I want to see every one of them back in it. Just find a way to justify it and just do whatever you want.
And honestly, what I would hope is I hate Star Trek Into Darkness, but I don't mind this new universe. I would love to leave the Star Trek universe at a point where if you want to make a film set during the original series or a TV show or whatever, any show you want to make, you can make in the Star Trek universe. You could do Game of Thrones, but on the Klingon homeworld and their history.
Right.
I would totally watch that.
That would be a show I'd watch for sure.
And as a fan, I would just like to see more Star Trek.
Yeah, I want a new series.
More Star Trek doesn't necessarily mean good Star Trek.
Too much of anything, even love, is not necessarily a good thing,
Exactly.
as Captain Kirk said in The Trouble with Tribbles.
I have a Tribble in my closet. I'm just saying.
We all have tribbles in our closet.
Yes, we do.
I got nothing else to say because we know nothing else about what's going on with this. Just that he was approached. We don't know what role he's going to play. He might not even play.
He may not even be Kirk. He could be a completely different character.
That would
He
be
could
really weird. It would be really weird to me.
If
I'd be
Shatner
fine with
didn't
it,
play
but
Kirk.
I don't know. You can justify anything. If you can manage it and make it good, I'll watch it.
I actually always thought it would be cool to have him on Voyager and do sort of, remember the Simpsons episode with Michael Jackson? Have a guy that thinks he's Captain Kirk, but like a Don Quixote
That
type.
would be awesome.
That would be pretty
See,
cool.
we're giving you all the ideas.
He's an
Take him, Bob Orsi.
an android who downloaded some sort of holographic matrix, whatever.
It
They
could be
do all
anything.
kinds of crap on
Yeah.
that show. They can make anything up. It's fine.
But we do know it'll most likely be hitting theaters in 2016, which marks the 50th anniversary. So if all goes well, we should be hearing things early next year. Probably would be production.
And it is not J.J. Abrams this time around.
No, it's Bob Orsi who he wrote Star Trek Into Darkness, which I hate, but he's a huge Star Trek fan, and if he's doing it, good for him. I'd love to see what he comes up with.
Me too.
Okay.
We'll see you next week.